Afternoon, troopers. I'm fat, but I'm devilishly handsome. You know it. Ask your mum. So, big companies, they hate it when they don't make a sale. And when someone else buys something instead of them, they count that as a loss. Don't worry, I'm not getting all like political and socio-economic on you. It's the fact. When anyone buys an Xbox, the guys at Sony count that as a loss. And when anyone buys a PlayStation 4, because they're correct up here, the people at Xbox go because they're stupid. No, I'm kidding. The people at Xbox count that as a loss because they think they should have sold that unit as one of their units. And then I don't think they're too worried about Switch because Switch people are just Switch people, aren't they? And what else is there? So whenever a second-hand console or a second-hand game is sold, it really upsets these big companies, which is why the next Xbox at the moment you can buy, it's only got a disc drive, which is just ridiculous. Don't let them do that. Don't let them sell you a box without a disc drive, right? Because what you're doing is you're putting your head in the guillotine yourself. Trust me, don't buy one. Please don't buy a discless Xbox. Anyway, my point is, old games consoles being sold around, and then the people that made them and marketed them and developed them don't get a penny. At least with like used cars being sold, like when I sell my car, Mercedes aren't going to get any money, but the new guy's going to have it serviced, he's going to be buying parts, he's going to have, bits and bobs, so they're still going to get an income stream from that, so they don't necessarily mind it. But with things like a Mega Drive, well, perhaps Mega Drive's the wrong example because they've already gone bust. So let's say Nintendo, because I think Nintendo suffer the most from this. When someone buys a SNES on Facebook for like 70 quid, Nintendo get nothing from that. And he goes to CX and he buys a load of games, or wherever, and buys a load of games. Nintendo get nothing for that. If he buys a third-party controller because the controller got a bit sticky, Nintendo get nothing for that. So Nintendo see their product being sold and it galls them. It makes them angry. So what we ended up with is these mini consoles. And to some extent Sony, but I like it, but it should have been better. We've already done that. Let's not cross that bridge. Let's not die on that hill again. But Nintendo made these. And these sold like Billy-O, if you want to sound like an old person. Oh, they sold like Billy-O, Agnes. In fact, these, I don't think they could make enough of them. And I think even these caught them unaware. Because they just, vanished in shops. So, they're slow to catch up on this. Because people have been buying and selling SNESs and NESs. That sounds like a foreign language, doesn't it? It sounds like Nebuchadnezzar, the guy that they named the ship after in Matrix. NESs and SNESs, PlayStations and N64s. People have been buying those second-hand used for 20 years plus. And not a single cent of it's made its way back to Nintendo. So they had two options. The first option was start making new games. Shouldn't be the worst idea. Just get a little indie house, buy an indie production house, and start physically making games and charge a premium for it, a bit like they did with vinyl. And I think there's mileage in that. I think if they started making modern programmed games, but using that technology, I'm sure we could make much better games because we understand the architecture more. It could be a moneymaker, but the actual volume you'd sell isn't going to be very much. So when Nintendo did the Nintendo Store and they started selling old games, that was a really good idea. Because yes, it costs money for them to make to port the games over. And by and large, from what I gather, they did quite a good job porting them over. But they made that back when they sold them on the storefront. And that's how I think this came along. because they made the game, they ported the games over and they made them available, so they had them, and that's probably the hardest bit. And then, because these have got the Wii connector, I think somebody said, well, let's make retro pads for the Wii that plug into the Wiimote. I'm convinced this is what happened. So, yeah, they made the Wii pads to work with the games on the storefront, right? So then you've got 2/3 of the formula then, haven't you? All you need to do then is make the console, which is, as everyone's discussed, a Raspberry Pi in a plastic pretty box. And it's the same for this one. So Nintendo did those one after the other, and they were just blockbuster, you know? And they weren't aimed at people like me, I don't think. And they weren't aimed at games collectors or you know, I think they were aimed at middle-aged guys and to some extent girls, but mostly to middle-aged men with a family on reasonable income, but not loads of spare income, in a normal house without room for all this rubbish. And they saw this and they went, well, if I got that for Christmas, I really loved playing on my SNES when I was little. So you plug that in through HDMI. So you're not faffing and you're not tuning in and there's no ugly cables. You just unplug the Blu-ray player, plug that in, and away you go. So I think these were aimed at casuals, middle-aged people, and it was sort of a, it's Christmas Eve tomorrow, we haven't got Uncle Bob out. Oh, he likes computers and stuff, let's get him one of these. That's what I think it was. I think they were almost an impulse present. But everyone got one. Everyone wanted one that was involved in gaming and retro gaming and stuff like that, because it gave us access to some of the games we possibly didn't have, and there was a sort of a mass hysteria. You know, it was like, oh, I must get it, I must! I've never played a Nintendo in my life, but I must! Like, mate, I've got one. I bought one on launch day, and I've never played I think I've played a SNES once. NES once. I always get mixed up. But I've still got one, and I've played it a couple of times. The other two I play much more. This one, and this one I play tons. But then again, I'm a massive PS1 whore anyway. But these two are the ones I play the most. So when that was a success, then they got a bit, okay, and this came out. And I think this is lovely as well. I think the actual form factor is lovely. The games are quite a good choice. And this worked. So fair play to them on this one. I suspect we might be seeing an N64 at some point, although what my point earlier on was, these two worked because we had the games already on the Nintendo store. So they'd done that hard work and they'd already made a bit of money back from them. To port N64 games, which were 3D, and we've seen from this how hard it is. You know, if it was easy, then this would be better. Right? It's almost like politics. The country's in a mess. If it was, and everyone down the pub's going, oh, right, you said there, right, is raise taxes on them. If it was that easy, they'd have done it. So if it was dead easy to port this generation of games into a Raspberry Pi, they'd have done it, and this would have been mint. Right? So the fact it was a ball ache the fact that this wasn't good tells me it was a ball ache. So for the N64, yes, those two, the NES and the SNES, made loads of money, but they'd sort of already got that. And don't forget the N64 controller, because the convention of these micro consoles is that the consoles themselves are small, but the controllers are full-sized. Even the PS1, the one is full-sized. So an N64 controller is a chunky thing. I've got one over there. I should have got it out already. But it's a chunky thing. It's a 3-hander. So to package that, your box is going to be bigger. And as soon as your box is bigger, it's costing you more money in it. Like the box for this, I think all three of them are roughly the same size box. It's about a foot square by about 4 inches thick. You can ship these all around the world for nothing. But if you start putting an N64 controller, an N64 controller will take up most of that box. And then you've got the console on. So you're almost going to be doubling that. Which means you're almost doubling your shipping costs. And that starts to, lose you a bit of money. They managed to get the 2 full-size PS1 controllers in here. Quite nice. I've had this out. I've took this to a mate's house yesterday. Normally I keep it all a bit neater than that. But my point is that the N64 is going to be harder to do technically for the porting of the games. Harder to package because it's a clumsy shape controller. And is there the need? I think they could probably make enough to make some money out of it. I don't think they made any money out of this, really. I think this was a test. I think this was almost a Christmas present. Because it wasn't big. It was 60 quid or something. And 60, if you think about what was involved in it, the control, you only got one controller with it. But I can't imagine, I imagine you could probably come up to 25, 30 when you look at all the costs of manufacturing, shipping, printing the boxes, packing the boxes. Once you've done all that and the marketing, you're only making 30 quid a unit, which to Nintendo, when they've only made like 50,000, they can make one game. Just churn out an identical blooming Mario game, Mario Paint Dry, and they'll make that. So I don't think this saved the bank. It was an idea. It was a passion project. It tested the water. But what's next? Because my point being, these weren't aimed at me. They were aimed at Muggles, and Muggles bought them, but not as much. But now, those one-up arcade machines, they've taken it to the next level. And you can get one-up arcade machines like JD Sports, right? And Argos and Costco. They'll probably be in Asda at some point. You know what I mean? So they are going to be bought by Muggles. And you're going to get, little Morpheus Neo wanting one. And little Kylie Marie. And little Macaulay Chippewa. I don't know, whatever scum people call their kids. I never realised there's so many ways to spell the name Amy until I worked in education. It's a 3-letter word, Amy, A-M-Y, right? A-M-I-E, A-M-I, A-M-E. I don't even know how they do it, A-M-M-I-E. It's Amy, right? A-M-Y, deal with it, grow up. So these kids are going to be wanting these arcade machines. And then Bazza and Dazza and Lazza and Kazza and Razza and Azza, whatever, Lee. They're always a Lee, aren't they? They're going to get one for Christmas because they've seen it in JJB when they've been shoplifting. And then it's going to take up space. They're going to have the fuss out because, games from that era, they're not what you remember. We do it because we're sort of passionate about it. And sometimes even then I think there's an element of Emperor's New Clothes about it, and we play games and secretly think, actually, these aren't very good, are they? But when Muggles buy things like the one-up arcade machine that take up a bit of space, because even though it's like half size, it's still a fair size unit. I think by mid-January there might be some bargains had with them. Yeah, there'll be some damage to it because people can't have anything without ruining it, can they? But where's this going to go to? Because now we're getting mainstream arcade machines in mainstream shops. We've already had mainstream retro consoles in shops. My problem with the one-up arcade machine is I don't really like the games. Pac-Man, yeah, all right, the Street Fighter one I'd have. But Galaga, Space Invaders... nowadays with our modern tastes, those games that were literally the same but just got faster, Asteroids, things like that, they're not something you can sink hundreds of hours in unless you've got some kind of high level OCD. So where's next? I think we're going to see more, and I think we're possibly going to see more of these micro consoles. I wonder if we're going to start to see add-ons where you can add games. I wonder if we're going to start to see full, like these half-size cabinets with things like this running them, so we can have all the games we want. But my point is, if you are a collector and you've got the space, keep your eye open, because after Christmas, those one-up machines are going to be everywhere. They're going to be everywhere. For cheaps as well, because not everyone's got the space for them. So it's not like these where you can have these in, if you live in a bed sit, you've got room for one of these. If you're Harry Potter under the stairs at Privet Drive, you've got room for one of these. But a half-sized arcade machine, or whatever they are, three-quarter size, half-sized arcade machine, that's a fairly chunky piece of kit. So I think they're going to be available with minor chav damage in the new year. Would I buy one? No, I wouldn't. Full price retail, I would not. No. I don't think the games are my kind of cup of tea enough, apart from the Street Fighter one. Possibly Gauntlet as well. I don't know whether I'll keep on for that. I think once they do something like the Turtles or the Simpsons, or something that's got more of a choice, I think they could be more worth it. But these are tentative steps these companies are making, and if they start making money, it's going to be everywhere. What you've got to ask yourself as a games collector, if you are a games collector like me, is what's it going to do to your collection? Because already things like Shenmue and stuff halved in price. And if you can get one of these with any game you want ported on it, that's HD out with an original feeling controller, are you going to want to pay 70 quid for a 1989 NES? We're lucky that the Sega Sega versions, they've just been terrible. But if they start getting their act together, could it be that we see the implosion of the retro console market because people just buy the minis, the remakes? They're less hassle, they're less power to run, they're less prone to failure. The laser on this is never going to go, is it? And plus I've heard these USB games that you can download all kinds of. So I'm no expert. I wouldn't profess to be an expert. However, and this is a really long video, and I do apologise, and I hope I've kept your attention, because I've been talking about some pretty in-depth opinions. But my opinion is, to wrap it up, buy these if you want. Buy them because they're fun and they're a nice way. And also, in 5 years' time, these will be retro, and you'll be looking back and, I should have got one of them. They're a nice object. I love the feel of them. I love the smell of them. Hold electronics. They're nice objects to have. These arcade machines that are coming out, I wait. Honestly, I wait, because idiots will buy them at full whack and then get bored of them and then not have space for them. So I'm telling you now, 100% Tubby premonition. End of January, you'll be getting 150 quid. And I think they'll probably 150 quid in the shops. And I think you'll probably get them on Facebook for about 75 to 120. That's my opinion. I hope I'm right, but I could be wrong. If they are 120, I'll get 3, right? But there's no way I pay 349 quid. Not for me, not for me. So, that's me done. This has been an epic rant. It's the longest video ever. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've gone, hey, that fat guy, he knows his stuff. And I hope I've got you thinking, and I hope, possibly, I've saved you some money by not going, I must have the new hotness, because I do that. I must, because if I'd got the money I had last year, then I'd have probably just gone and bought one straight away. Which is why I haven't got the money now that I had last year. So, I hope it's easy just to get caught up in them and think, I must have one. Do you know what? Hang fire. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that subject. If you enjoyed the video, which side is it? It's going to be there, isn't it? I don't know. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you see all the new videos. And maybe bang a comment underneath, see what you think. And I do apologise this has been a long video. It has been a bit of a slog, but I hope you've got something from it, and I hope that we can go forward and keep growing the channel, keep sharing it, and as ever, thanks for watching.